Electric Earth Day celebration, again, in collaboration with our friends at Plug In America. And I want to thank everyone for being here. Much like the way people celebrate their birthdays, a month-long celebration. That's what Plug In America is doing these days. And we are very glad that you are a part of it. Okay? So thank you so much. And our first guest, Mr. John Gay, he's a member of the American Institute of Architects and also the National Organization of Minority Architects. He is a smart home design expert and principal architect. He owns his own firm called Jack Corporation International. He's from the Chi, studied at the Illinois, University of Michigan, and also the Virginia Institute of Technology. And that's Vienna out in Austria, not Vienna, Virginia, folks, okay? And he says that his most notable projects are building 20 custom homes in the early 2000s that outperformed the market during the Great Recession. And all of them appreciated in value because they featured smart home design. They appreciated in value during the Great Recession. So John knows what he's doing. Then our next guest is Purcell Artist. He is our sustainability advocate that's on deck with us tonight. He is a property manager with a federal government agency. He's right here in the Washington, D.C. area, a prolific YouTuber. He owns the Tesla, if you've ever seen it in any of the auto shows around here, graduate of Norfolk State. And his most notable projects are his hands-on experience with energy sustainability. And that's what he's going to be talking about tonight. And then it's me. I just recently acquired my PMP, so I just thought I'd tell everyone that. I'm really proud of it. It's one of the hardest things I had to do. Even more difficult than getting my lead GA. And CleanTech entrepreneur and CEO of DaiTechnologies Corporation, also known as DaiTechCorp. I am a member of the Electric Vehicle Association of Greater Washington and a member of the African American Real Estate Professionals Organizations. I studied at Kellogg Business School, studied real estate at CUNY, and attended the University of Tennessee. The projects that I'm most proud of are the first ones when I got into the business, and that was installing electric vehicle charging stations in wards 5 and 7. These would be markets that the utilities and the cities and everyone else said they would be the last ones to enter into electric vehicle adoption. And my very first customers were actually from those 2 wards. I've been working recently on a project with the Ohio EPA for their EV adoption initiative. And recently, DaiTechCorp was involved in an opportunity to, I'm about to use a 50-cent word, inculcate DPI, that's the Department of Permits, Inspection, and Enforcement. We were responsible for making sure they standardize their SOPs for the installation of residential electric vehicle charging stations, okay? And for those of you who may be engineers or architects, we had a situation where the inspector wanted us to come up with building permits to install an EV charging station. And I'll just leave it at that. I'm going to post the story in a blog. But as a result, we were able to get the SOPs changed, and they just recently published them. So that was really exciting. So we're getting ready to start. Are you ready? Are you ready, John? Because you're up next. I named your building the Chicago Castle because of the Tourette. So John, go ahead and take it away.
Absolutely. So thank you so much, Sheryl, for inviting me to speak and for the kind words about my firm. Sheryl and I actually met online, and it turned out that she was actually applying for a FedEx grant, and the same FedEx grant that I was applying for. And I put in the chat that after seeing what she does, I was going to cast my one vote that day, because you only had one vote per 24 hours. I casted a vote for her. So one of the things that's really cool about entrepreneurs is, and she said it best as we were preparing for this, you never know who you're going to meet and what's in front of you. So I'm really excited about this opportunity. I'm really excited to meet all of you tonight as I introduce you to, as Sheryl calls, the Chicago Castle, and we named it Migration, because we migrated from the north side of Chicago to the south side of Chicago when we built this home studio in historic North Kenwood in Chicago. So some fun facts about this house. It's 5,300 square feet above ground, 2,200 square feet below ground, and that's where the office is. We've got a 3-story grand stair, which you're going to see later. We've got 72 windows in the house, and the combination of the windows, the insulation, some things that you may not think are sexy, but are actually extremely sustainable, allow us to, on average, have an electric bill of less than $200 a month and a gas bill on average of less than $100 a month, except for, as Sheryl has pointed out, in January and February. Next slide. So we take a different spin on smart home technology. Everybody gets excited about gadgets, and those are great, but we take the tack that you should use engineering and engineering tech to implement systems into your home so your home performs better. And to me, that is a smart home. So a couple of things that are in this design and other homes and custom flats that we have designed are stainless steel, high efficiency hot water boilers that provide heating by way of heating the floors, implementing VRF cooling, which is 90% more efficient than your typical cooling, proper insulation, extra windows, because why wouldn't you mind reading the newspaper on a cloudy day with no lights on? And that's how you have a smart home and keep your bills down. LED lighting and Wi-Fi dimmers, Wi-Fi audio video, rainwater collection, operable windows, and operable skylights, and ceiling fans. So on this slide, you see upper left, that is our high efficiency boiler with its 3 zones. That's how we get our hot water. And then the slide, the image to the right is our zone control. So we're able to isolate the zones that we're utilizing at the time. Also in this mechanical room, we have a exhaust fan that takes the extra heat out of that space and dumps it into the return air of the conventional fan unit in this design. The slide at the bottom is a photograph of our kitchen, and this is really cool from the standpoint of the bay window to the right of the image faces south, and we actually have 6 windows that are behind a breakfast nook. And you don't see breakfast nooks that often anymore, but it was a nice feature, and we get a lot of sun in the morning for breakfast and also in the evening for dinner. But what's interesting about this is my wife would not sit there, because this is the one mistake I made. I made the change during construction. This originally had 3 windows, now it has 6. So the cool thing about the hot water, we were able to extend the zone in the office space up to the breakfast nook, and we added 2 hot water radiators. And now she's very happy in that space year round. Next slide, please. So this is a wonderful way, and it's also our calling card. So you're standing right now in conference room A, because as a national boutique design firm, we actually are housed, the headquarters is in the house. So the conference room A is where we meet with initial clients. So immediately you get to see our design acumen, but it's also has a couple other functions. We get light through this 3-story space. Also, we can cool the house by opening the operable skylight in one of the windows at the bottom, and we get an automatic cross breeze. So it's a great space to show off to clients, but it also is a space that works, that helps to keep our costs down of living in the home. Next slide. So other things that we can do with respect to rainwater collection and stormwater is permeable paving. And as I said in the chat, we actually do not have an electric vehicle, but we are hot in the research for it. And I designed this solar greenhouse in 2008 for a Toyota competition. We didn't win, so we didn't build it. But now, since in 2025, you're not going to be able to buy a gas-powered vehicle, predominantly the automakers are moving towards electrical powered vehicles. This is how we're going to power up our electric power wall to recharge the car. We'll collect through the solar array on the greenhouse, and that will power up the battery, recharge the battery, and then we'll recharge the car. So I'll hand it off to Artis.
Before we do that, we have a word from our sponsor, DaiTechCorp. All right, so one of the reasons why we wanted to host this event was to bring some folks together and talk about EV adoption, but we actually wanted to reach the people in real estate. So I just want to know how many real estate pros are in the house. And could you respond to the answers, please? Number 1, if you're a residential real estate pro, we'd love for you to punch in number 1. Punch in 2, if you are in commercial real estate. Punch in 3, if you are a single family home developer. And punch in 4, if you are do mixed use and or multifamily developer. Audrey's a baby 4. That's good. We all got to start somewhere. April 1, Sandra 1, Robert is on a condo board. That's going to be interesting. I've got stories. Christopher is 1 and 2. Is that Christopher from Chicago? And Abby is 1. Okay, well, good. Christopher from Chicago. Did you go to Kellogg with me? Yes. Welcome, Chris. Well, thank you for coming in. Good to see you. Good to have you here. All righty. So that's our message. Purcell, you are on deck.
Well, thank you, Sheryl. I appreciate it. And hello, everybody. Here comes the boring stuff. I don't have all these fancy stuff. I do have 2 degrees, but nothing like you guys. If I put my 2 degrees, maybe I have a half a PhD. So I met Sheryl on a Zoom call a couple of months back via the electric vehicle DC chapter. And since then, we've been conversating back and forth. And she called me a sustainability something. I don't know what that word was, but I want to say that I'm a sustainability advocate because I'm all about trying to save a little bit of money. I have owned my Tesla for 6 years. You may see the thing behind me, my car behind me. That's a 6-year-old Tesla. I bought it in 2015. I do have a Powerwall. I do have a video show that it started off as a hobby. Now it's become work now because I cover a lot of things, all EV, all energy, sustainability. And lastly, just for fun, I am a member of several Tesla owner groups to include Southern Maryland, the Maryland Tesla Group, Northern Virginia, state of Pennsylvania, and the Washington, D.C. Tesla Group. So that being said, we're going to go now to the sustainability piece of this presentation. And right now, what you're looking at are solar panels or solar arrays. And it's probably one of the three things that I'm going to talk about. And this is the less or the most cheapest one. Next slide, please. So when we talk about solar panels, everybody knows that solar panels are pretty much on your house. You can own them, you can lease them, you can do just about your mixed messaging or how you want to do your solar panels. Most people do lease their solar panels, and the way to do that is to basically bring down your electrical bill on a monthly basis. So if you do have solar panels, I would recommend also that you may want to take a look at how much energy you're using. So if you are using solar panels, you also will have a utility bill. So it just all depends on how much you are using in your home. Just like owning an EV, it might not be for everyone. It just depends on how you plan on using that. The second thing that you'll see on the screen is the Powerwall. And this is going to be pretty much the meat of my presentation because I am a firm believer about sustainability, as I said, but also in a time of storms or in a time of something that you can't control, at least you will have a battery backup. And this is what this is. On the left-hand side, that's my Powerwall that I've received from Tesla. And what you see on the right side, the black and white one, is the Tesla Powerwall, which is at the bottom. You see there's a main panel and the gateway, which kind of talks between the National Weather Service and Tesla. And I will show you an example of that in the next slides or so. You have your essential loads and your solar inverter, and that solar inverter is going into your solar panels. Okay, next slide. Now, the Powerwall is so interesting. When I got it, I was looking at my app every day to see how much, energy I was using and or saving. But I'm going to show you something that's really cool. And I mentioned something about storms. So on the left-hand side, I screen captured this as we were forecasted in my area for a really bad thunderstorm. As a matter of fact, the National Weather Society and all of the local stations was talking about it. As you know, they was predicting how bad the storm was. So it was interesting to see that on my app, Tesla actually told me that a storm is forecasted in your area and the Powerwall is now charging to provide a backup power and your system will be in storm watch mode. Now, what storm watch mode is that you can't physically send any more power to your house. The storm watch mode will actually be powered by the grid. So if you look at the slide in between the 526 icon, the one definitely in the middle, you see right now that the solar panels are only producing roughly about 0.1 kilowatts because it's cloudy outside and the storm is coming in. The grid is showing about 0.2 kilowatt power and it's going to our house, which is using 0.3 kilowatts. And at the at the example all the way on the right-hand side, the storm watch mode now is in effect because at top, it got really gray. You can't see any power coming from the solar panels. And now the grid is actually powering up the Powerwall to get it at 100%. And then it's also sending power to our house. So that's kind of neat to see that the grid is actually splitting its duties. Its main duties is to power the Powerwall, but also to power the house at the same time. Okay, next slide. Okay, so right now the storm is happening. So on the number one, if you see the number one icon there, now both the Powerwall is still in storm watch mode and the solar panels are off because it's cloudy. Again, roughly about 0.1 kilowatts coming off the grid, going into our home. Now, slide number or picture number 2 is that X. If you can barely see that, there's an X that's over top of the grid. That means my community lost power, but not me. So we had the brightest house on the block or in my community. And the storm watch mode, if you can see, it says Home Energy Gateway, is providing backup power. So I think we was using roughly about 0.4 kilowatts of energy going into our house. So we was on that power source for an hour and 28 minutes. And you can see that on number 3. You see that Tesla actually keeps a record of how many times your community lost power. Now, this was a major one because we was in the dark. Well, my neighbors were in the dark for an hour and a half, but we weren't. But it's awesome to see that sometimes we lose power when my wife and I don't know it. You see underneath it says 6 minutes, 5 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes. I don't even realize that because the power wall is so seamless. You don't even see the lights flicker or anything from transferring from the power off the grid to the power wall. And then on the number 4, you see that now the storm is over with, and now the power wall is now acting normal and is providing power to our house. Next slide. Now, I like that. My Nikola Tesla guy is looking right at me. I didn't anticipate that. But again, this is just a summary of what you just saw. You see the Energy Gateway power wall is at 77%. The power wall has returned back to on-grid operations. And again, that's just a snapshot of what you saw right underneath where it says my community was down for an hour and 28 minutes. Next slide. All right. This by far is one of the most expensive things for energy sustainability. And my good friend, whose name is Roosevelt, actually surprised me last year. And he called me to his home and I went to his house. This is not his house, by the way. And when I got there, I literally lost my mind. I was screaming, I was yelling, I was stuttering. And I was like, oh my God, he's pulled the trigger to get the Tesla solar roof. And this Tesla solar roof, I actually videoed it and put it on YouTube. It has become my most popular show on YouTube. It has well over close to 10,000 views. And I did 2-part series of this. So this Tesla solar roof is the absolutely max you can go with the most energy power on your home. Forget the solar panels. The whole solar roof is made out of small shingles and it has a solar array built in. So basically he is generating power all day. And then at night, he is actually selling that back to our utility company. And then he's using his regular lights that he has stored because he's not using the power that day. So at night, he's using the power. And then in the morning, that power would then switch back over to a solar roof. So that is an awesome way. If you are out there trying to build a house or anything like that, I would recommend, doing something energy sustainability, because over time, you would definitely save any money, a lot of money. And I think that is my last slide.
Okay, well, thank you, Artis. One of the things that I would like for you to highlight, tell us about the difference, the situations between retrofitting versus building new with these features.
Is that one for me?
That was for you.
Okay. So, well, in my examples, I retrofitted the power wall. I had my house for 10 years. And when I received the power wall, I had to find a space that was unlivable. So that was down in the basement and we put it in a storage area. The solar roof that you're looking at, you could do it new. And I followed a guy from Wisconsin. He built his house and before they put a shingle on the roof, he ordered the Tesla solar roof and he put the solar roof on instead of doing the typical shingle roof. Now, my friend Roosevelt, who I was telling you about earlier, he also retrofitted his house. So he had to take all of the shingles off. Well, his company took all the shingles off and Tesla put the solar shingles on. But the caveat is this: if you go with the regular roof, which could be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years or whatever, the Tesla solar roof is from 50 to about 80 years. But the thing is, I want to really stress is that one, it is expensive, but it's also a long process too. You just don't slap that solar roof up on a house overnight. It takes about 2 to 3 weeks, depending on how large the roof is, how many dormers you have, how many complications you have. So it is a bit expensive, but over time, it saves you money.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. And now we have last words from our sponsor. We're about to bring this home. So for tonight, if we have any builders in the house or anyone in house that's interested in electric vehicle charging station, you can start your smart home game tonight for less than $700 plus installation costs. We are making the electric vehicle charging stations that we carry for residential applications exclusively. We are making them available to you at a cost below the manufacturer's price on their website. So if you look in the chat, you'll see the link. You can go ahead and check it out. We feature an LX juice box. And tonight we have a special for EV charging stations that are hardwired, okay? So I just wanted to let you guys know that. And I'm gonna jump right into mine. We are the DMV's EV adoption expert, we being DaiTechnologies Corporation, and want to talk about why specifying EV adoption for smart home design has its benefits, okay? First of all, it can enhance the builder's brand in the marketplace. And that is, you can future-proof for asset appreciation and against future retrofits. And just like John had mentioned at the beginning, when you do smart home design, you can, the home values can appreciate during a downturn, all right? After the bubble. It doesn't necessarily, the prices don't necessarily have to go down, and your house, the value of your home can stand on its own. The other reason why you want to consider electric vehicle charging stations or EV adoption for the smart home design is because you can actually put money in a home buyer's hands after closing. And how do you do that? It's basically the receipts that you could use from your option packages. You can share them with the home buyer so that they can use those receipts specifically for your electric vehicle charging stations, and they can access local incentives and government tax credits. So that money will come back to them in some form, so they would either realize get some cash coming back or realize some net investments. All right. The other thing is that it can enhance a single family builder's bottom line. For those of you who are investors, those of you who are into flipping homes, those of you who are building developments, you can charge premium for smart home option bundles. And if you put in an EV charging station, you will attract a buyer who is willing to pay the extra cost for that feature, because retrofitting, depending on where that electric panel is located versus where the garage is located or where they're going to park, it's definitely going to cost them some drywall, just off the bat. All right. Copper's going through the roof, and then you have the labor costs. So the savings that you're going to afford them on time and money will be well worth whatever premium that you're going to charge them for that. And therefore, if you realize premiums on your bundles, you can definitely enjoy gross revenue increases, okay, gross margin increases. And then, of course, your ROIs will increase incrementally. And those are the reasons why builders should definitely be looking into putting EV charging stations into their developments and or their investments. All right, so why do you want to put one in, or why would an individual EV driver or an EV family want to have a charging station? And these are the reasons why, all right? Compared to just plugging it into the wall, all makers provide a three-prong outlet plug. It's the same one we use with the toaster, okay? It comes with the car, all right? It's basically a level 1 charger. That's what we call a level 1 charger. It's 120 volts, and it can charge up to 16 amps, all right? It takes all day to energize, it takes all day to energize your car using this method. And it's really all day and all night. The automakers say it's 8 to 12 hours, In real life, it's 12 to 24 hours to charge your car when you just put the plug into the outlet. It's simple charger. It's not smart, which means it's not Wi-Fi enabled. You cannot monitor the activity that's going on between your outlet or the grid and your car. It doesn't give you any information about your consumption. And most importantly, there are no incentives available, okay? Because it's just an outlet. And basically, it's a glorified extension cord. However, if you purchase a level 2 electric vehicle charging station, these are the features that are available to the driver or the user, the end user. They can be either hardwired, become a part of the home, okay, or a plug-in fixture with the NEMA outlet, with the NEMA plugs, either rated at 6 to 50 amps or 14 to 50 amps, okay? The level 2 chargers are 240 volts up to 48 to 50 amps, depending on the manufacturer. They charge in 6 to 8 hours. These rates are similar to the EV charging stations that you would see in a garage or at a parking lot. Not quite as fast as the level 3s. Those are those big ones that you see at the rest stops, but they do charge pretty fast, within a business day, okay? They're smart home technology. They're Wi-Fi enabled, which means you get a whole lot of information on your handheld device or on your desktop. And you can actually program when you want your charger to be fully functional and energizing your car. Some EVs provide reverse power. In other words, your electric vehicle can mimic what Artis was discussing about the power wall. It's only available for hardwired, but what it does is if there's a power outage, your car can feed power back into your home, okay? And just for a temporary purpose, to keep the refrigerator on, keep the freezer on, keep the air conditioning running, all right? But the reason why this is important is because you cannot do this with a 110. You can't, it'll blow it up, all right? So, but you definitely can handle, the level 2 charging station can definitely handle it. And then there's the demand response capabilities. You can, with some utilities, you can have this feature available to you such that if you charge your car during hours where the electric rate, where the demand is at its lowest point, is a low peak time, a low demand time on a consistent basis, utility companies are offering even better rates during those period of times if you don't charge your car during peak hours. And the last one is, with a level 2 charging station, you can get incentives and tax credits, which result in savings. Okay, so like I said before, if you want to level up your smart home game, you can do that tonight. And tonight, we are featuring the Enel-X Juice Box. And the Enel-X Juice Box is the brand that we carry exclusively for residential charging stations. And DaiTechnologies has strategic relationships with a number of commercial manufacturers who also manufacture residential charging stations. But we've chosen to go deep with Enel-X Juice Box. And the reasons are because their response to us as a small business has been very, very positive. And we believe their response to us will carry forward to our customers, right? And what do you get with an Enel-X Juice Box EV charging station? Well, you can get them at 3 ratings, 32 amps, 40 amps, and 48 amps. 32 amps, think of a street car, or what they call a city EV, like a Mini, or even a Harley Davidson. Okay, 40 amp. That's more like a mid-range. That's like the Hyundai Kona. or the Chevy Bolt. And the 48 amp would be what they call high performance. And those EV charging stations service cars like the Audi, the big ones. And also, I would say the F-150, all right? They're rated #1 by Electrek. Juice boxes were in production, have been in production since 2013. They offer a 3-year money-back guarantee. They're simple to install, but only by a licensed electrician. These installations do require permitting, okay? And permitting is always an extra fee. You should know that. And you can install them indoors or out in your garage, on your carport, or your parking pad. All right. Other reasons why the juice box machines or EV charging stations are ideal for our customers is because they offer these features that are not offered by the other manufacturers. Scheduling, notification, voice commands with Amazon. You can also have 2 charging stations on the same circuit, which they call share load. You have the built-in rack and cable rack and the lock. And they also have a 3-year warranty. All right, so for tonight, because you guys have been so great, and we are celebrating Drive Electric Earth Day, we're having a builder special for Juicebox EVCEs. So from now through May the 4th, just in time for Mother's Day, just in case the mother or the mother of your children or the mother in your life gets an automobile with that big bow on it, make sure she has a charging station, okay? And that goes also for the graduate in your life too, right? So we say May 4th so you can make a decision and make sure that thing gets delivered in time for Mother's Day. And when you purchase your charging station, we will also throw in an added bonus with a book called Smart Charging for Dummies. It's a legitimate For Dummies book by Wiley Publication. It's a very good publication. It's like I said, a legitimate book, and we want you to have it as a gift from us. Okay, so the folks who are going to buy a charging station, you can go ahead and hit that link under webinar special. And these are the prices that we're looking at. On the MSRP for each, whether it's 32, 40, or 48, they're all over $600, okay? But you can get in a 32, like I said, ideal for the electric Harley Davidson. You can get in that for $565. The best seller is the Juicebox 40, like that's the mid-range. The manufacturer is charging $609 for the charging stations. We're letting them go for $585. And the Juicebox 48, the high performance one, we're selling that or making that available for $625. So you can take that link right now and go check those prices out. And you can go ahead and start your orders. But we're not going to let everyone else who doesn't want to charge or leave empty-handed. We have a digital swag bag. And because it's a party, and when people come and celebrate in your home, you want to give them a party gift. So tonight, in our digital swag bag, we have tips, 10 moves towards your new EV life by DaiTechCorp. Again, for our builder community, we have a case study around smart home building. And I'm just going to say, I am biased. Power walls are absolutely wonderful. Solar panels are absolutely wonderful. Modern day building systems are absolutely wonderful. Alexis, LED lighting that's controlled by your cell phone, that's wonderful. But if you have an electric car and you don't have an EV charging station, you don't have a smart home. Okay. You have a glorified extension cord. So this is a charging station is one of the first things you could do to get into, like we said, your smart home game. And this case study demonstrates how a family incorporated all those elements, okay? In addition to what John has already done. And then we are also offering on the swag bag page, we are offering regional incentives so that you will understand how you can save by getting money back from the government, money back from utilities, and other programs that are available all over the country. Okay, so if you want to buy now, you can hit the link in the chat, webinar special, or you can go to the digital swag bag. And that's the last word from your sponsor. So we have Q&A, and I'm just going to start things up with, so we have any questions. I forgot to ask you guys to put questions in the chat. So would you be so kind, if you have any questions for either John or Purcell Artist, John Gray, our architect, or Purcell Artist, our sustainability advocate, if you would please put your questions in the chat and we can, they can start answering them. So I do have a few just to get things started. And the first question is, where does smart home design initiate? In your opinion, John, where does smart home design initiate? Unmute yourself. Oh. Unmute yourself. There you go.
Okay, thanks. I didn't realize you muted me. So for us, the design process starts by interviewing the client, and we don't put any pen to paper, don't do any drawings, no modeling until we've done a thorough interview of the client to understand their goals. So with respect to sustainability, it starts with understanding you as the client and or the developer or homeowner. What are your goals for trying to save and keep your operating cost of your home down? On the construction side, the actual design is initiated electrically at the demarc, which is the point in which the utilities enter the home. So in the case of a electric charging station or power wall or solar panels with an inverter that sells the power back to your utility, you need to make sure you have positioned your electric panel or your utility room or your IT room as close as possible to the demarc of your home, where the electric power enters the home or building.
All right, thank you. We have some questions in the chat. I'm going to start with Lawrence's question. Which vehicles have, is that V2 home capabilities? And how much power can they provide? V2 homes? Lawrence, can you unmute yourself and clarify that?
Sure, that's a vehicle to home.
Okay, vehicles to homes. Okay. Oh, which vehicles have vehicle to home? Oh, I know for a fact that Lucid is coming out with that capability. There are, and artists, are there some Teslas that do the same thing? No?
I'm not quite sure of the terminology, but I have been in a Lucid, and I tell you, that car is absolutely stunning.
Yeah, it is beautiful. It's a woman's car. It's a woman's car, though. Artist. It's got me all over it. Okay. Okay. And what how much power can they provide? they're rated for 240, just reverse power, just like what's going out, from what I understand. And this is information I received from a gentleman who is actually in the market for a Lucid, but usually it's the feedback in so they can support the other other appliances that are within the home. And you need a surge protector when you install one. Okay. All right. We have a question for Purcell. How did your friend engage Tesla for the solar roof on a new home?
Well, his house, thanks for the question. His house wasn't new. His house, he was in the house probably about the same amount of time that I was, about 10 years. But he basically called them and he put down a deposit. And the funny thing is that some rules have changed, but I'll just keep it very basic. When he put down the deposit, that shows that you're interested. So they did a Google map search of his house and they did the scale and saw how many the roof would cost. And then they gave him a price. And then he told me on the video, he did one of those Fred Sanford heart attack routines, like, I'm coming to join you, honey. He didn't realize it was that expensive, but he bit the bullet and he put it in. And like I said, the funny thing was some of his neighbors were so annoyed by all of the folks that was in his yard for over 2 weeks. They said this must be an all-time sham because they're having problems putting a paper roof on his house. But he really enjoys it. And as a matter of fact, in a couple of months, I'm going to go back and visit him and have an update on the show because it will be 1 year in a couple of months that he's had the solar roof. So thanks for the question.
Okie dokie. And Robert, you mentioned here Kia EV6. Does that car do reverse power also? Could you unmute yourself and let us know? All right.
Yes, it's a V2 house.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So there we have another one. So we know it's a Lucid, we know it's a Kia, and I'm sure there's some other ones that'll be coming out. All right. Do we have any more questions? The new Hyundai. Okay. Thank you, Richard. All right, here we go. Here's another question. What equipment, components, or features do you need to start a smart home design? You know what I'm going to say. An EV charging station. All right. In your opinion, John, what would you recommend? We talked about this. You can get into smart home design if you're retrofitting for under $2,500. What can you do right now if you're retrofitting?
Sure. There are a couple of things that you can do. So if you're just going to do part of your home, like maybe an essential space, you could do a couple of rooms and install the VRF cooling system initially in a couple of rooms. Another quick move is to retrofit all of your light fixtures to these new flat panel LED fixtures, along with Wi-Fi dimmers and proximity readers. So especially for kids, because they'll forget to turn the lights off. In bathrooms, proximity sensors are great because when you leave, if you forget to turn off the light and the exhaust fan. So those would be initial moves that you can make and get it done for $2,500 or less. The other thing that you could do also, and everybody has these now, but really good Wi-Fi routers and extenders will give you the coverage that you need throughout your home to operate your smartphone and interface with other systems in your home. Sometimes homes have dead zones because of structural steel or rebar and things of that nature, but a good Wi-Fi extender will clean that up and allow you to have connectivity throughout the home if you did not hardwire
Okay.
the house.
All right. Great. Well, thank you. One of the things I want to say is that with the electric vehicle charging stations, the price of the charging station is fixed. The wild card is always the way your home is configured and the distance of the charging station from your electrical source, which would be your electrical panel. So you definitely want to put your charging station next to your parking area. But a lot of times what I find, especially since we're in a market where a lot of the homes are approaching 100 years, approaching 75 years old, they weren't even thinking about electric vehicle charging stations, all right? And so the prices are going to vary based on the conduit run, how much drywall you have to break through and repair, and the cost of copper is going up significantly. And it's a lot more expensive today than it was this time last year. So those are the things that, and that's why I'm having this event, because I don't want customers to catch their breath to get an EV charging station in. They need one because they're using their outlet. And when COVID's over and we go back to work, folks are not going to have all day and all night. So that's why I'm encouraging builders now, put the whip in, pull the conduit now after you frame the house, before you close the walls. It's a small price to pay. Your electrician can pull that wire within an hour, maybe two max, from one side of the house, no matter where the panel is, before you are done with closing the walls. It's going to be a whole lot faster and a whole lot more economic. You'll get a significant margin on offering that feature, and your home buyer will absolutely love you. They'll call you brilliant, and they'll recommend you to all their friends. So allow me to supply the charging station before your home buyers purchase the home, and let them fall in love with you. Okay. So, artists, is there anything that you think folks can do for under $2,500?
Yes. Let me just answer the first question. Where does the smart home design initiate? That's when you open up your wallet and see your money flying out your wallet, and you'll have no control of it because you're spending way too much money in electricity or something like that. That's, for me, I got to stop that from happening. Under $2,500, my first thing was getting solar panels on the roof. I did not think it was going to be such a savings for me. At the time, it was my wife, my son, and myself, and we really don't use a whole lot of energy, but sometimes we do. But when we got the solar panel bill in and we got our electrical bill, I was like, wow, it's actually reducing our overall cost. It was almost, it was like 20 or 30%. I was like, wow, this is a good saving. So that in turn, allowed me to do other things. But under $2,500, probably the best thing is to lease your solar panels.
Did you say to lease them, Purcell?
Yeah, lease, because under $2,500, if you want to outright buy them, obviously it's going to be more than that.
And when you lease them, Purcell, what are you paying for?
So the solar panel, when you get the solar panel, I'm not going to name the company because it's not a Tesla solar panel, actually. Believe it or not. Wow. Well,
I get what? They aren't paying us any sponsorship, so it's up to you.
Okay. So I have Vivint solar panels, which is in the Maryland area where I live. And so, they came in and they did a structural, make sure that your roof is okay. That was kind of like apparent that you had to get that done. But I have 27 solar panels on the backside of my house. So that is like the greatest part of sun that comes over my house. And that's also too, you might see people who have solar panels both on the front and on the back. But for my house, where the sun sets and the sun rises, primarily that's where the sun is. So it was explained to me that if you have a dollar bill 90% of the sun is the backside of your house. That's like 90 cents. And the other 10 cents is going to your utility company. And for me, that was a no brainer. So I was like, wow, I need to start doing this. So that's why I started leasing the solar panels instead of outright owning them. Now, when I do sell this house, the solar panels will stay with the house and will go on to the next owner. It would transfer, that the next month.
Okay. So someone asked, do we offer a commercial juice box equipment? We most definitely do. We have a strategic relationship with Juice Box, and we carry the whole line of Juice Box products, and we can make them available to you. If there are any questions about just electric vehicle charging stations in general, I'd be more than happy to entertain them. And how does smart home design benefit the single family home buyer? I'm just going to say a lot of times it's attached to incentives. I mean, even if you buy a high efficient refrigerator that talks back to you, you can get a nice check back from GE for one thing, as well as the EV charging station. And what about that building system equipment that you have installed, John? Are there any incentives attached to that?
Well, we built our home in December to be 18 years ago. Mm-hmm. So that was before incentives were available. But now ComEd is offering grants for going actually predominantly electric. They will allow a gas boiler for backup use. Mm-hmm. And you might need that boiler, especially in February, January in Chicago. Mm-hmm. But the cool thing about it is on your high-end appliances and you go all electric, you end up getting a nice grant back. And then with being Energy Star efficient and compliant, of course, the back end is back to the savings that you receive in a lower bill. Mm-hmm. So there was a big shift in the energy code 2018, 2019 that was ratified last year. And so you've got to have all of these features in your home now, the high efficiency windows, the smart appliances, the extra insulation in the roof and the walls. There's no way around it. For us, when we do what is called a residential com check, we will not get your permit if the design doesn't pass the litmus test of the software. And having all of these features will get you there.
Okay, I understand. Well, thank you. We do have a question in chat. How many hours is a power wall rated for?
Okay, so that is more of an electrical question, mm-hmm. But I can tell you that I have one power wall, and I can talk about credits after that. So in the daytime, when the power wall is at 100%, I can technically go off the grid until the next day. Mm. So you can see, again, it's all about, and I did an 8-part series on the power wall alone, because it is really about how many people are in your family. As John alluded to, some people leave their lights on. A lot of kids leave their lights on or TVs on. Elderly, if you have elderly people in your house, you might have to have the air conditioner or heat running at a constant rate. So I'm just grading from my own experience. I took 3 electrical bills actually, and I showed the comparisons of pre-power wall, power wall, and post-power wall. And I'm embarrassed to say that my electrical bill in October from 2019, 2020, and 2021, in 2019, it was roughly about $85. In 2020, it was roughly about $60. But when I got that power wall going, $20. I kid you not. I had to do a double take with that. So that's the savings. So again, I don't know about the rating as far as the power wall, but I can run the power wall practically 8 hours. And then by the end, the sun is up and then it's being charged again.
Okay. Someone is asking, can Purcell drop his YouTube channel URL? He wants to subscribe.
Oh, thank you.
You want a fan already?
Yes.
And Robert shares that there is the Maryland Energy Storage Income Tax Credit for home battery backup systems.
That's correct.
Thank you, Robert.
That's correct.
On top of the federal tax credit. Yeah, so that's correct. The thing with these, with a lot of these energy programs, there's a lot of what we call it habit stacking, but there's incentive stacking, okay? And you can end up saving a significant amount of money. And Lawrence says that, is the only charger to give the vehicle to home capability. So Lawrence, could you unmute yourself and share that? Is this a charger that will allow you to go vehicle to home without that being a feature in the car? Is that the way? Am I reading that correctly?
Yeah, so it's the Quasar. And so it hooks up to the fast charging port on CHAdeMO vehicles, which in the US is basically the Nissan Leaf.
Right.
And apparently Nissan is phasing out their use of CHAdeMO, which will leave us with the SAE CCS. And it looks like it'll be many years before the CCS fast charging port allows us to do bi-directional discharging from the car to the home. So Quasar works. I don't know if Quasar is actually available yet. I don't see a buy button, but they describe it like it's an established product. But anyways, they've been using this vehicle to home function in Japan after disasters for over a decade, using the CHAdeMO port and whatever equipment is legal to use over there. So I have heard of some electric pickup trucks having these charging ports, and then the cars you all mentioned. It looks like you just have like 120 volt outlet on the car where you can get small amounts of power from it. But when you hook up to the DC fast charging port, you're hooking up to the traction battery directly, and you have a lot of power is available. Not just like on the Chevy Bolt, if you try to get power from the 12 volt battery, you only can get 1,000 watts. Mm-hmm. And to really run a home takes, 4 or 5, 6 times that, depending on what you're running. So hooking up to the traction battery allows you to do that.
All right. Well, thank you, Lawrence. Thank you so much for your input.
Can I just give my YouTube channel, because this is the easiest way to find it, if you don't mind, Sheryl.
Okay, go ahead.
Selfish plug here. Thank you for my interest in my YouTube channel. I really super appreciate it. I don't do it for money. I just do it because I love energy sustainability. So if you go to YouTube, this is no joke. I tell you, this is the name of the title. If you go to YouTube and you search, just type in, "Don't waste your time, Tesla." That's the premise of my show, is don't waste your time. This video may not be for you. And I know it sounds funny, but I know a lot of videos. I know with younger people, their attention span is not that long. So initially I said, well, I'm pretty sure this video may not be for you, but it caught on and people started watching the video. So again, if you just go to YouTube and just type in, "Don't waste your time, Tesla," that's where you'll see my my image that I have behind me, which is the Nikola Tesla airbrush thing. Right. And yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for asking. And Richard reports that the Hyundai Iconic 5 can actually charge another electric vehicle. Wow. Okay. All kinds of features going on. Since we don't have that powertrain, and we substituted the powertrain for batteries and a server, there's like all kinds of things the manufacturers can do to attract the attention of the auto buyer. And this is the last question, because I know we're running over, but that's because the discussion has been so wonderful. And the last question is, how does a smart home design benefit the single family developer? Again, it's one, because you will be able to attract the home buyer who's willing to spend the extra money for that charging station. First of all, you'll be saving them a lot of money in the long run. And because of the savings that you're going to afford them, they will be willing to pay a premium for that charging station, okay, that you'll be able to solve for under $1,000. If they have to install it, it's definitely going to be a whole lot more than $1,000. All right. Unless, of course, the panel and the charging station are like within 5 feet of each other. And with the cost of copper, that might not even happen by the end of the year. Okay. So you'll be saving them a ton of money. They'll tell all their friends about how wonderful your homes are, and you will eventually have a fan club. All right. Folks will want to get in your homes because you're offering it. So not a lot of builders that are doing that, but builders who do, they are definitely getting the attention of the market. In some other jurisdictions, they're talking about requiring the whips to be installed, like in Colorado. I don't know if they passed that legislation, but they were looking at that being a part of the housing code up there. So, and the other thing, I just want to remind everyone, in 2030 is the year, I believe, Washington State, you won't be able to buy a gas-fired vehicle in that state as a passenger vehicle. In 2035 in California. Yep. Massachusetts, and I believe New Jersey.
Yep.
And I am sure that New York is probably scratching its head about that because all the states that I've named were part of an accord that of 9 states that came together, signed an MOU, and they said they were going to do everything they could to lower carbon emissions. And by 2025? And Maryland was one of those first 9 states that jumped out there. So don't be surprised. And we're doing that to save the Chesapeake, okay? The Chesapeake represents about 20% of our state's gross national product. And if they don't do it, we won't be able to eat Maryland crabs. So it's real important, right? That we go that route. And so we can continue our discussion, but for those of you who, have other things to do, thank you so much. And Suwash, can you post the links in the chat? So if there are any folks who have any, who missed the links previously, these are all the folks that are participating or have participated in our event tonight. And we can continue on a few more minutes, but I just wanted to let everyone else know, don't forget your digital swag bag. Don't forget to purchase an EV charging station if you need one. We're hosting the sale until the 4th. If you were buying your mom or the mother of your children an electric vehicle for Mother's Day, we got the charger for you, so it'll arrive in time. All right? And if you guys have any more questions, we can hang out for like another 5 minutes if you like. If not, we'll just close it out.
Sheryl, I'd like to add to the question about how smart design helps developers. Number one, when you have good design and smart design, you're going to increase your volume of buyers who come and see the project. But number two, your velocity is going to be increased because the buyer is, they're just going to buy it faster. Mm-hmm. So a great example, we did a custom 4-unit condo that had a open house this past February. It sold out in 10 days.
Wow.
Okay. And there was a bidders war for one of the last units. So mm-hmm. The velocity is important to a developer because that means you've paid off the construction loan mm-hmm. and the construction team faster because of you received your proceeds sooner. Okay.
Gotcha.
Hey, Sheryl, you also brought up a good point that I hope some of the people are still on. It is imperative that if you have your juice box connected on the same side as your main panel, it makes it less expensive. It makes it very easy hookup. That's what happened with my house. That's what happened to the Powerwall. And that's also what happened when I got my Tesla. My garage is on the same side as my electrical panel, which is down in the basement. And a Tesla Powerwall can go roughly about 50 feet away from the main panel. So that's a good point that you brought up. So hopefully some of your potential buyers would take that in consideration.
All righty. Richard, is there anything that you would like to add to the presentation tonight?
No, I've heard a lot of great information tonight. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you so much for joining us. Well, if we don't have any more questions, let me check the chat one more time.
Go electric.
Go electric.
Go electric.
We don't have any more questions. Okay.
Oh yeah,
I
actually do have one other thing.
Okay, go ahead.
I received a notification today and actually took advantage earlier today. If you go to Tyson's Corner Mall, out on the plaza, which is that outside area by the hotel they have there, you can drive the Volkswagen ID4 electric car.
You're exactly correct. Yep. My friend did that.
Yeah, I did that today.
Oh, great.
Hey, Richard, if you are interested in my video, I drop a video every Saturday. And this Saturday, I'm dropping a 4-part series on the Pulsar 2, which is all electric from Volvo. And I met that person. I used to work in Reston. So I met that person in Reston, and I'm telling you, the car was amazing. So if you have any time, don't waste your time. If you have any time, please waste some time and watch my video. But I would be dropping the Polestar video this Saturday morning.
Yeah, I've already subscribed.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And the bell.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
One thing I wanted to say is that I have quite a few customers that have their Volvo, I want to say it's the XC, is it the XC40? I think it's the XC40. They're being delivered. They're coming off the docks now, and the ID4s are coming in from, I want to say it's Germany. They're waiting on their vehicles to arrive either to the dealership or they're going to drive them to their front door.
Right. You can get a test drive.
So you're going to start seeing by, I would say before the end of June, you're going to see, it's going to be like, you don't see any, and then they're going to be like all over the place because everyone's waiting on their vehicles right now. So
yeah. The XC40s created quite a big problem at the docks because they all have been sitting there for months because of a software problem in the cars. So they couldn't be sent out. They had to be updated before they could go out.
That's why. Okay. That's why they said, and that's probably been true of some of the ID4s also. All right.
Also, at Tyson's One, where I think Diesel used to be, the clothing store, across from the Apple store, Lucid is putting a showroom.
That's correct.
Uh-oh.
Yes.
That's the woman's car.
Yep.
Yeah.
That sounds exciting.
You know they're competing with the Mercedes Model S. That's their competitor.
You mean the Tesla? You mean the Tesla Model S, correct?
No,
or Mercedes?
The Mercedes.
Mercedes.
The price
Okay.
point. The price point.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've been following Lucent for close to 5 years. They came to DC, and I had a chance to sit in their car. And half of the senior staff left Tesla to start building on Lucent. And so I've been getting emails and updates, watched the unveiling, and I've also post Lucent news on a few sites. So it's going to be exciting for people who want to be in EVs this summer. It's just going to be, like Sheryl said, it's just going to be a plethora of EVs to pick from.
I was living in Arizona. I just got back to Alexandria, Virginia, and just south of Phoenix is where that factory is actually.
That's correct. There was a video released by the CEO doing a tour of that factory, which I posted 2 days ago. Yes. Yep.
Did you know about the history of their batteries, that they've been in the Formula E racing series for the last 7 years?
I do. Yes. My son turned me on to
that's a very impressive proving ground for those batteries.
That's correct. I mean, it's a well thought out car. To sit in it was amazing. Again, just to see, I did tell the guy, I said, you're 5 years too late because I would have bought that car the day I sat in.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I didn't bought the Tesla, and I still like the Tesla. But it's an amazing car. I can't wait to see it again.
Nothing wrong with having 2 electric cars.
Nothing wrong. Make sure you can do power sharing. All righty. Yeah, that's going to be that. You know what? I probably will go out to. I haven't been out to Tyson in God knows how long. I will definitely go out there to go take a look at Ellison. I'm looking forward to it. I have a
It's
customer.
a very interesting car.
Yeah, I have a customer who's waiting on his. He's expecting his. He said right now they're going through their department of I think it's a UL testing, United Laboratories testing, and they're also going through their. This was back in February. They are also going through their Department of Transportation tests. I guess it's like the crash tests and things like that.
Yeah.
They take a long time. So they don't expect those cars to be released until, I think it's June. June.
Have any of you driven the Ford Mustang Mach-E?
I have. I have.
I consider it a fun to drive car. I was quite impressed.
You know, Richard, that's going to be another video down the road.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And I don't want to take a whole lot of time, and I apologize. I live in Waldorf, so the Mach-E came in late February, and the dealers had no idea how to operate it, which in a way is kind of a turnoff for me. You know, it's like, okay, I'm trusting you to tell me what's going on with this vehicle or whatever. And it was like completely radio silent. Now, coinciding that with the Polestar, they don't have sales agents. They have, I'm kind of giving away the show, they have spaces. So you might see a Polestar out, like say in the middle of Tyson's corner, and then you walk up to it, you whip out your phone, and you say, I'd like to have a test drive. They will actually drive the car to your house, and then you can drive it there. And it's only available in 3 locations in New York and 2 locations in California. So, and the last quick point is, I think Ellison is doing the Tesla plan. They're coming out with their most expensive car first, so they can build up that capital, and then they're going to start, having the less expensive cars roll out later. Yes.
Right.
Okay, I'm done. I'll reclaim my time. Okay, I'm done.
All right. So we're going to talk cars one night, and we will talk about cars and charging probably in June. And I want to turn you guys on to something that's going to be very interesting. So I want to thank everyone for joining us. I'm going to wrap it up. And I want to thank John and artists for being a part of our panel. I hope we get to do this again. And Richard, thank you so much. Richard volunteered, and we did not connect like we should. Well, I did not connect with him like I should have, but I'm hoping because Richard is such an auto enthusiast, we will we'll be able to do an outdoor event that requires cars in the fall. So we'll talk about that soon, Richard, and thank you again for joining us. And everyone else, we're going to shut it down. I'm going to ask my team to hang out. But thank you so much. And we'll see you guys next month. We have a webinar every month talking about EV adoption. And we appreciate you being here tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you.